What's your take on that, Jess? Do you feel like there hasn't been a massive criticism of Ten Hag because he is new? They did score some goals in the second half. They've won some games. Do you feel like results like yesterday are inevitable in a rebuild process? I mean, your own team is now doing brilliant, but it was only a couple of years ago that you were still getting some really poor results. Is this just something Man United fans have got to accept, that even when there's good improvements and big improvements, you're going to get a number of bad days still along the way until you're fully formed as a squad and team under the identity of Ten Hag?
Yeah, of course. It's early days. Like it's still, the beginning of Ten Hag, and he also needs to learn what to do in the Premier League. I also feel like there's like this it's just about the players and he needs to bring in good players. He also needs to learn what's good and bad, what to do, what not to do in the Premier League, you know what I mean? So it's a learning process for everybody. I think I think the worst part about the result was the performance, and then that just sends a shockwave into like, okay, do we actually make any progress or not? And I think what Manchester United are moving towards is understanding who's actually here for the long term and who actually needs to be moved on. And players that don't show up for derbies are probably not players that you want to stay at your club because it's still a derby at the end of the day. But you're definitely going to have these results. It's Manchester City. And for me, you watch the game, and it was just very clear from the first half that they were scared. Manchester United players were scared, where they weren't scared of Liverpool, where they weren't scared of Arsenal. They were frightened of Manchester City, and that's fine because you know it, but you just know that there's levels to go up because Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes, these are great players, but it takes time. And so, yeah, I think you just have to be really patient. And with Ten Hag, you can always criticize what he did. Like, obviously, maybe this was one game too far with Scott. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but he's gonna learn on the job as well, and you just have to be patient. I just don't know. This is my thing the whole entire time was: will Manchester United fans be patient, or will they do the usual thing where they're like, okay, well, it has to be the manager? Because those players just didn't show up. Regardless of Ten Hag's tactics, those players just didn't show up. And I'm not sure that that's a management issue.
You're going, bro.
I was just gonna say as well, what I like about what Ten Hag will do, I think what these players needed, and us fans as well. I never said we was gonna win, but the fact that I even had hope that we was probably gonna even draw, we all needed this humbling at the end of the day. I think everyone does, but we'll do this every single season. Because guess what? Even when we play City next, I'm still gonna say the same thing. How about that? So it don't matter. It's the same thing with Arsenal Spurs fans. Arsenal fans when they go to Spurs, Arsenal fans going to come with chest. Same way Tottenham will, no matter if they get battered. It's the same process every single season. Obviously, when we go to Anfield, we're going to win as well, right, Jay? You know what I'm saying? So
No, I
what
don't
I like
think.
about Brentford thing as well is he took that hurt and he used that energy and put that towards the next performance. And I think Ten Hag would definitely put these towards these players and then will listen. They got humbled a little bit. Yeah, you've had a decent run, but now we need to improve. Now stuff like bringing in Casemiro, Martial, be an easier job to bring them in. You can't moan about that now. You've had a pretty bad performance as a whole, as a team. I want to change a few things. Can't moan about it.
I kind of feel I agree with what you're saying there. I feel like this is the fans have got to have patience. There's a few things, but the manager has got to learn from his mistakes. Ollie kept on making the same mistakes time and time again, and hoping that he would get it would suddenly click. This is where you see how good a manager he is. Does he make that change? And if that change works, stick with it. You know, maybe it was one too many games with McTominay. I'm not going to moan it because I believe you have to pick on meritocracy. You have to create that environment. But you have that bad game, someone else now gets to step in. If Casemiro shines and keeps shining, he stays in that team, barring rotation. But there are so many other factors at the club that need to be taken into consideration. A big report came out today, and it got barely any kind of circulation. It got put out by all the aggregators, but no Man United fan really cares. And it tells me that Man United fans are still being indoctrinated and listening to the wrong voices in the Man United community. Because the article said that Ten Hag has told the club to ban all contract renewals until he decides whether they deserve and or good enough to stay at the club. And for me, this should be getting universal celebration. Those have been the decisions behind the scenes that have damaged the control that every manager post Fergie has had over the squad. I want to get rid of him. No, then the player gets to stay, player power takes over. These like off the field issues are all, for me, are as important, if not more important right now than anything he's doing tactically, who he's picking, who he's subbing off, what's he getting right and wrong, because what happens off the pitch is what manifests itself on it. The best teams in the Prem, pound for pound right now, Man City, as an example, Arsenal, Brighton, Brentford. When you look at these teams, they are run impeccably off the pitch, and it manifests itself on the pitch. Liverpool, as much as you're going through a bad period right now and everyone's bantering you, and you don't spend how you probably want to, you are still well run. The way your operation actually works. It would just be better if we spent more money in that same operation. You actually don't need to like overhaul the club, but you just need to spend more money, like, if that makes sense, to compete with the rest of the big boys. And you look what Todd Bowley's trying to do at Chelsea. They're trying to build something really special that is long lasting. And that's really key for me. But I do agree with you, Jess. I don't think Man United fans are going to have the patience. 2 or 3 more bad results like this, and all it takes is one key content creator to start talking about maybe the manager isn't right, and the fan, because it's an easier narrative to talk about. Some Man United fans will jump on that like a bitch in heat, and I am talking about female dogs here, which is, so it's not cancelable, but they will jump on it. It'll be heat. They'll be like, yeah, I need it. I need my fix. I need that. I need that release of dopamine, because there are some Man United fans that are struggling with losing like we did yesterday because they don't know who to put their anger towards. They're like, oh shit, who am I meant to be angry with? They're really confused. They're used to having a target they're allowed to go for, and at the moment, it's like, if you go for the Glazers right now, everyone's, oh, the Glazers didn't play the game though. If you go at the manager, give him time. You ever go at the players, it's like, well, they were picked by the manager. So they're all like, oh, who do I get angry with? Who do I rant about? And I'm just like, the club still. We lost the way we lost yesterday because of 10 years of being run terribly. And because we haven't got a team in the squad with a mentality to beat a tip-top Man City team. We just don't have it. And even when we've beaten them in years gone by, we've caught them early on the counter and scored a few goals and then hung on. We haven't actually dominated them off the pitch and outplayed them. We haven't outplayed City at football since LVG did it in 2014, 2015. It's a long time. That's the last time. That's the last time we outplayed City at football. It's a long time for me, and I think there's so much more to go with it.
A quick one, Terry. I wanted to ask on Casemiro. Do you guys think he was an Erik Ten Hag signing? Because that type of game is where, I don't know, I just, on the face of it, would have just thrown a Casemiro in there, because he's got the experience of playing in big games. It's a big game. Do you know what I mean? Like, going with the lineup that you had in midfield and having, obviously, not only Ronaldo but Casemiro on the bench, do you think that's an enough problem?
Yeah.
Do you think that was tactical?
No, I think it's a signing. He just could get me a destroyer. He's had a destroyer in every single team he's had with Ajax. The thing is, think of it like this: he's not dropping Eriksen or Bruno. That's certified. Now Scott McTominay's been playing well. Imagine this, and I hate to say it, and I think he's average, but he's been playing well. He played well internationally, even in the Premier League games. Where you're like, wait, this is McTominay. What the hell? And then imagine you just go and drop him. All of a sudden, I get McTominay, Casemiro's Casemiro, but at the end of the day, if you drop McTominay, what does that do to a player's like confidence?
Yeah,
well, it's a bit mad like that.
It's good management from Ten Hag, but I think there was, when Casemiro was being signed, I could have sworn I saw, there's so many aggregator accounts for Manchester United, it's insane. But I know I saw something where it was like, this was a long-term Manchester United player that they had been watching for a long time. They didn't think they had an opportunity to get him, but now that they had the opportunity, they moved on it. So I think there is a sense for me like, oh, he needs to get acclimated. He needs to do this. Casemiro's been playing games for Brazil. He's been playing. So why can't he come back and play for Man United? I don't think he's a Ten Hag signing, because you guys chased Frank de Jong for so long.
Yeah, but if it's evident after that Brentford game though that he didn't need a controller, he needed a destroyer. He needs something like that, because when it comes to imagine McTominay gets injured, who you put in there now?
Yeah,
but the thing is, if Eriksen gets injured, who can you put there? A number of different type of players.
Once the window closes, the manager is not really going to come out and say that the player that they bought is not the player that they needed. There's always a way to spin it and say, well, needed a destroyer. I needed this player instead. So I don't think it's a big deal, to be honest. Unless he doesn't start playing soon.
We was about to sign Rabiot, not Casemiro, Rabiot. If you're going to tell me about the signings and stuff like that. I'm taking Casemiro regardless if it's his signing or not.
But that's not the point, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, I get it.
What I'm trying to, the reason why I'm asking is because, yeah, you needed a destroyer, but was Casemiro, was that just, do you know what I mean, a la Liverpool, do you know what I mean, in the season when we finished 4th, where it was just like, we didn't have a centre-back, and Klopp goes, I need a centre-back, and they bring in Kabak and Davies. Of course, Casemiro is not Kabak and Davies, but did they just get in a destroyer, or is that the player that Erik ten Hag wanted? Because if it was, what you'd see is like, me personally, I think he goes and plays. He just goes and plays. We saw it with Martinez. Martinez just in the deep end straight away. You're playing. Whereas with Casemiro,
well, we had a pre-season. Well, actually, no, he didn't. Did he?
I think we're going to get our answers soon on this. And what I mean by that is, I think both arguments are absolutely fair. My conclusion is I haven't made my mind up yet, and I very rarely sit on the fence, but I am on this one because I get that with Nietzsche's point here, Malacia, Eriksen, and Anthony went in. But does Anthony go straight in if in them opening 2 games, Jadon Sancho and Rashford are cooking on the left and right? Does Malacia go straight in if Luke Shaw is in the form that he was in 2 seasons ago when he was one of the best left backs in the league? So that and when Casemiro came in, Eriksen and Scott had a very good game. But it's where I think Ten Hag's got it wrong is I understand McTominay was in good form, but there still comes a point where it's like, I think I'm playing Man City today. I've got to bring in one of the best midfielders.
McTominay only has so many good games.
Yeah,
he can only have so many good games.
I think he basically went. He gambled one too many times. It's like going to the casino, betting it all on red. I came in, betting red again. At some point, the ball's going to land in black, and that's what happened this weekend. It fell in the wrong side. But I've seen a lot of people. I think I saw Mark Goldbridge put out that he doesn't think it's a Casemiro signing. I don't know to what degree, and we have to be very careful here because Man United have had circumstances where the managers have been told it's Fred or no one. Is this the case of I don't mind Casemiro, but can we keep trying for Frankie de Jong first? But I'm happy to bring him in if I need to. There is a difference in that, but I think it's a great question, and we'll see soon because he's such a good player. To not see him really kick a ball yet for us it's kind of frustrating having him for a month. And I know we lost a few games because of the Queen, but yeah, I am starting. It's one of those things where I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated with it. I want to see him get some game time, no doubt. We've got some super chats here before we move on to the next subject. The first one says, I disagree, Terry. United fans know this will take time. Ten Hag picked the team based on merit, and I appreciate his growing pains. Kingsley, I hear that, but they've said that every time a new manager's come in. And how do I know? Because I've been sitting here doing these streams since 2013, and 100% I've seen that before. So I hope you're right, Kingsley. I really do, brother. Against City, Arsenal won the first half and were memed. Well, we won the second half and we've been memed. I'm only joking. There's a few nuances. Ten Hag's 8th game to Pep's 6th year. Rashford winning player of the month and Haaland not. Our team is under construction and City's isn't. And I think that's fair. But what you need to then see is a response. You need to see Man United winning the Europa League on Thursday and then bounce back this weekend in the Prem. It has to happen.
Against Everton.
Yeah.
We're in the league so far.
We're Man United. We have to bounce back. Paying Ronaldo 2 to 3 times as much as other players whilst not playing him is in hard games. That's one hell of a retirement plan, is what Sar's got to say.